Hey guys, my name is Jason Portillo here with my first video ever, and today I'm going to show you how to use photometric data to determine the right amount of lights in your project. A little background about myself is I'm an electrical designer and I work in commercial and residential jobs where you have to determine how many light fixtures you'll need for your project. Today I'm going to be using AutoCAD, visual lighting, and IES files to determine how many light fixtures you'll need. Basically, some of the things you'll need to determine for your project is how big is your space, and also other things you might need to determine are how high are their ceilings, what type of ceilings you have in this building or residential project. Some could be high ceiling. Other types of ceilings could be T-bar ceilings or drywall ceilings, and basically based on those types of ceilings, you'll determine what type of light fixtures are best for that type of application. So let's get started. So right now, let me open up my first project. So right here, I have an office, and in this office, pretty standard, we have, let's measure. You kind of just measure out what the portion of the walls are in. Using, if you're familiar with AutoCAD, you'll pretty easy. I like to use the LI to determine your space. Kind of says it's 118 square feet within this one room. So based off of that, let's open up visual lighting, which I already have it open up for you guys, but save some time. Again, this is the space that we're working in. We don't know how many lights, let's just assume that it's a T-bar ceiling. So it's a grid ceiling. So some of the light fixtures we will want to go see is for T-bar ceilings. So let's look up. I'm familiar with some. I like to use these guys. We go to products. Let's go to indoor. Let's go for surface. And we're looking for something that's gonna pop out in the space. Let's see. Let's look for these surface mounted ones. A little curved. So you're gonna have to read the description a little bit. Some of the mounting. For example, as you see here, is for type G or NEMA type or an NMFG or grid installation. So this is something that you need to be able to determine in your project. So based on the type of ceiling project, probably get that from the architect on what type of ceiling it is, how high it is, so it's easier to spec out. And as you have different types of options, do you want a 1x4, a 2x2, or a 1x4? And just kind of going back to the project, the space is not that big, so if we try to put those light fixtures, you don't want to put 4 of them. So I'm thinking maybe 2. So let's just download an IES file. Let's do 2 2x2s and see how that works. So let's go back. Spec. This is not it. Let's go back. Let's look up a little bit more info. Let's go to IES file. So this is kind of a library of it. Okay, we just downloaded it. So let's go to the downloads. So this is where you kind of go check first. Let's spec out which type of light fixture we want to get. It's a pretty small space, so this is where you kind of want to see how many lumens you'll probably need in your building or your project or your office, whatever type of scope you're working in. So I'm gonna go with the lowest for the 2x2, which is 3000 lumens. So let's go find that one up in the IES file folder. So I believe it's maybe this one. Okay, so I see. So it's at, you know, some of the things right here. It's called dimming, universal. I mean, I kind of have a picture of what that means already. If we come back, says right here, do you want dimming? Universal probably just means the voltage that you have at this job site. So these are things you have to determine while at the job, like what type of panels do they have? Do they even have 277 at this place? So typically they do, but you should always coordinate with your PE or your project manager, whoever you're working with, to determine what type of voltage you guys have at that job site. So let's just assume that this job site, let's just get the one universal 120 277. That allows some flexibility, whether it could be for both. So we're gonna look for 2x2 with 3000 lumens with a dimming driver and universal voltage. And typically, CRI, there's only one option, so we'll go with that. And I think it's kind of standard to use the 3500 Kelvin. So let's go with that. So let me go back real quick. Let's see kind of how you're supposed to order this. 2x2 with the lowest lumen is listed as this one, L30. So let's go back, L30, and we said, I've kind of already experienced this, so we kind of go back. This is how you determine 3500 Kelvin is what we're trying to use, and that's gonna be this one. So let's copy that one, just save it somewhere easily accessible. So let's put it on there, put it on my desktop. Let's open up your IS file. First, to run visual lighting, you're gonna have to download your AutoCAD background. Usually when you do this, I typically try to get my AutoCAD background first, make another folder with that file, bind all the XREFs that are in that file, so it's easier to work with, because visual lighting, there's a lot of things that are including in the drawing, so you don't want that extra stuff in there. So let's open up that. And how to use visual lighting first. Open up your file. Here, let me just start from the beginning. Let's go here. Close it out. So open up a project. This is my floor sample that I'm going to use with you guys today. It's floor plan sample. You open it up. I already binded it, so it's pretty easy to open up. And then while we wait for that, I'm using Mac with boot camp, so it's a little slow, guys. Sorry about that. But you see, it imports most stuff. I like to highlight those. Let's work for this room right here. We're gonna go to Luminar, Schedule, New. This is where you're gonna add your light fixture you just downloaded. So let's go to desktop, we said. Desktop, and this is the file. And then you could see from there, it kind of gives you what type of light fixture it was. It gives you a little bit of description from the IES file. It says Williams is the manufacturer, the type of catalog number it's used. Oh, this one's recessed, so that's recessed. And it says 2x2 and Photometrics. File name, the number of lamps it has, the light loss factor, and the wattage of this light fixture that's being used for the IS file. Something that I like to do is, light is not 100%. Sometimes you have some redundancies, so you type. I like to do 89% of the light fixture. So say some light is lost hitting the back wall of that light fixture, and then just kind of a symbol you want to use for your light fixture. Since it's a 2x2, I'm just gonna stick with a square. Dimensions, I haven't really messed with these yet, but let's get that. Let's use that, and then Okay. Then we're gonna place our light fixtures. Let's just say this room, particular room, it's a typical room, 11 feet. It has a 11 feet height. So let's, since it's gonna be recessed on T-bar, let's put this fixture. You know, just to get a glimpse of it, we're just gonna drop it in there. See, you can move it around, orientation of the light fixture. So let's just do that. There. Oh, it's a little slow. One light fixture, and let's say you try to measure out how big the room is so you could space out your light fixtures. You don't want them right next to each other. Make it, you know, so it's wide enough of a space. So let's place the other light fixture here. And I like to come here, see my light fixtures. Oh, we didn't name them, but they're named A. It's 11 feet high. This is kind of the location of it. So all I wanted to do is change the orientation. I like to have it exactly at 0. Okay. Now we're gonna create a room. Because basically, us importing our AutoCAD file is the first part, but then you also have to create like the height of the room, actual room. With Visual Lighting Studio, you can construct your own rooms, so we're gonna do that. I'm gonna do polygon because as you kind of see, the room's not completely rectangle. So I'm gonna do polygon with a height of 11 feet that we said. And I'm gonna name it something. Let's name it room 1. Oh, okay. So let's do the orthogonal so we can get our room exactly. And just kind of like that. Your room, lay out your room, and then once you have that up, I guess I missed a little bit. Let's go back. Okay. Now we're gonna make our calculation zone. This is basically how much light isn't within that room with these 2 light fixtures within that room. And just so you can see, and we're gonna just move around, go, I believe, how do you move view? So with the view, you can move around, and that's just kind of how the room's laid out. You see, it's an entire room, the light fixtures on the top. Since they're recessed, they're at the very top. Oh, there's a little error, so we're gonna fix that. Might need to replace and remount our fixtures, so that's easy. Just kind of go here. Let's just put 0. Let's do 0 here. That should fix that. So, oh, did not fix that. Let's try again. Sometimes since it's a T-bar fixture that's recessed, it mounts itself back up. But let's try that again. Okay, it's actually up for some reason. Might have. Let's see the height of the room. I don't remember. 11 feet. So maybe I will just do 10 feet for the light fixtures. Okay. And just kind of like that. So, okay. So now the light fixtures look like, yeah, I mean, let's just call it a day with that for right now. I'm not sure what's going on. And let's calculate our zone. For this, we're just gonna do a rectangle. kind of naming convention of the zone. Let's call room 1. Let's just leave the height is just determining at what point you want your light to be calculated. You want it to be calculated at 10 feet. No, you typically do it from ground level, which is 0 feet. And the point spacing, you'll see right now, it's the row spacing and the column spacing. So let's just do the rectangle within this room. Actually, oh well. Let's do that. And as you see, you could do it a little over. Any light, there will be no light within in the exterior of this room because we don't have light. So if we run the calculation, see, because I've made my rectangle, there's no light being exposed outside of the room because there's no light outside of the room. We've only have 2 light fixtures. And it kind of gives you what the naming convention we gave it, which is room 1. The average foot candle within that room is 15.7 and the maximum being 23. And it does show 0, but that's because it's showing this exterior points which are not contained in the room, and so there's no light outside of the room because there's no additional light. So, and typically in office spaces you want to go for 15 to 20 foot candle. I think that's pretty bright enough. You shouldn't. That's more than enough. And usually with your dimming controls, you can lower that so it's not that bright. So as you can see, with 2 lights, you're hitting 15.7 foot candle, which is more than enough. And there it goes, guys. That's how you calculate your photometrics. Later, guys.